Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. We begin in the name of Allah, all praise and glory be to Allah, and may His finest peace and blessings be upon His Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and his family and his companions and all those who tread his path. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala carries safely to and from Hajj all those that are going and accepts from them. Allahumma ameen. And I pray that Allah accepts from those that intended and tried to make Hajj this year as if they went, Allahumma ameen. And rushed to them a Hajj faster than they expected, Allahumma ameen. And so what's the point in Hajj? Like, what's the wisdom behind Allah making Hajj such a fundamental part of Islam, to the point that it's one of its pillars? Because our Prophet ﷺ said, "Buniya al-Islamu ala khams." You all know the hadith. Islam was built upon 5. And so the columns that erect your Islam, the super foundation of your Islam, are those 5 things: the Shahada, Salah, Zakah, fasting, Hajj. And of course, why they're the super foundation is pretty clear, because these are all different central parts of submitting. So don't think of Islam as the title of the religion. Think of Islam as the verb, the thing that you do, the act of surrendering. And so our lifestyle of surrendering to Allah humbly, lovingly, stands on 5 pillars, right? By admitting it, that's the Shahada. Meeting the appointment 5 times a day, recognizing a right of Allah in our wealth, recognizing a right of Allah to curtail our desires in the month of Ramadan, and then a variety of all of that in Hajj. Wealth and energy and time, surrenders, different illustrations of surrender. And so whenever you're struggling to surrender to Allah as you know you should, when you're struggling in your Islam, go back to these 5. They're the spine of your Islam. The stronger they get, the stronger your ability to Islam will be. Your ability to surrender will be. And when one of them falls, to the degree, because those are the pillars, but they're not all the same size either. To the degree of the size of that pillar, your Islam would have fallen. Alright? That's just reiterating what we already know, that it's a central part of our deen, this Hajj. It's a central part of our Islam. And we also know that Islam is the greatest mercy Allah ever afforded us. Greater than the mercy of life, greater than the gift of our parents, greater than anything we can imagine. Anything we can come across, we would never have stumbled across this brilliant, priceless Islam, right? And so Islam is the greatest share of Allah's mercy to us here. So what's the mercy in Hajj? Well, it's a huge avenue for Allah's reward, which is the whole point of why you're alive. You're pursuing Allah's pleasure and His reward, right? And our Prophet ﷺ said, "Al-Hajj al-Mabrur laysa lahu jaza'un illa al-Jannah." That there's no second place. If you do Hajj right, there's no reward for this but paradise. An accepted Hajj has no reward but paradise. And also there's another aspect here. You should do the bare minimum of all the pillars, like the bare minimum meaning the obligatory. But the fact that Allah gave us a variety in our avenues of reward is another mercy. Like there are 4, after the Shahada, 4 major acts of worship that have massive rewards: Salah, Zakah, Siyam, Hajj. And so obviously we're talking about someone who's doing the bare minimum of all 4. But what if you don't have stamina to be praying Qiyamul Layl, but you can really, I don't want to use this term, but go hard, floor it for 10 days or 14 days at Hajj, and you have the money to do it, right? What if you don't have the ability or the time, but you have money? So you have the door of zakat to catch up, right? And so that we don't get bored in this journey towards Allah Azza wa Jal, And so we're not limited in our opportunities for reward, which is our goal in life, Allah's reward. He gave you all this. Is that clear? There's another aspect of Allah's mercy in Hajj as well, and that it is a prime opportunity, a golden opportunity for Allah's forgiveness. Because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Man hajja falam yarfuth walam yafsuq raja'a aw 'ada ka yawmi waladathu ummuhu." That whomever goes to Hajj and he's not being obscene or immoral, and he's not being rebellious to Allah's rules, he will come back from Hajj like the day his mother gave birth to him, or her obviously. And if you think about these two things, wallahi, you will know their value on the Day of Judgment. These two, hope in Allah's reward, because Hajj is a huge avenue, and hope in Allah's forgiveness, because Hajj is a huge avenue, there is not a greater gift that Allah can provide for you. Because you have no hope in anything walking out of this life but those two things. You do good deeds hoping Allah will have mercy on you because of those good deeds. Not because your good deeds are so much, but because they qualify you, insha'Allah, for His mercy, which is so much. Right? And you hope in Allah's forgiveness because even if you didn't do bad deeds, your good deeds are flawed. And your good deeds, He helped you with them. He provided you with them. And so you're hoping for His forgiveness. Not because your sins are small, but because His mercy is so big. Right? Like when Mohammad Elshinawy rahimahullah, who was a man that was at the top of the mountain. He was at the pinnacle of worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But he knew he could never match the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam used to say, nobody enters Jannah because of their deeds. He said, not even you, he said, not even I, unless Allah envelops me in His mercy. So he knew. I mean, this was a man that people say, when I felt my heart would get rusty, when my iman would go down, we'd go look in his face and we would revive for about a week. Just look at his face, the fear of Allah, the awe, the nur. For about a week, we get a wake-up call. How saki his eyes were from crying, how long his ruku' and his sujood is, how careful he was with speaking to people about people. It would just put us in check for a week. Muhammad ibn Wasi', back to the story, when he was dying, he said to the people around him, إِلَى النَّارِ إِلَّا أَنْ يَعْفُوا. I am headed to the fire unless He forgives me. And he's right. And now you begin to understand the value, the sizable mercy, this massive mercy that Allah gives you in Hajj. Right? That's the point behind Hajj. Allah, out of His mercy, places a huge opportunity for reward. And after you finish your obligatory Hajj, it's one of the options to increase your reward, to play catch up, so you'll get His mercy. And also it's a huge opportunity for His forgiveness, because without His forgiveness, there's no chance. That's the point of Hajj. Of course, there are many others, but these are some of the main wisdoms of Hajj. And now I want to talk about benefits in Hajj for the people that go and the people that don't, because I would probably be correct to guess that most of you are not going. And by the way, if you can go, I suggest you go make sure your passport is ready tomorrow morning. And I'm not going to solicit any companies here. Get a Hajj visa and go. Because it's not at all ballpark Islam to put off your Hajj as the last thing you do in your life on your way to meet Allah. Might as well squeeze in a Hajj. This is completely un-Islamic. To the point that some of the Sahaba would consider the validity of a person's Islam questionable. This is a minority opinion, but still, how could you accept that for yourself, for your Islam to be questionable? You might not be Muslim in Allah's eyes. It was reported about Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu, that he said that whomever is capable of Hajj and does not perform Hajj, فَلَيْسَ عَلَيْهِ أَن يَمُوتَ يَهُودِيًّا أَوْ نَصْرَانِيًّا. Then there's no harm in him dying a Jew or a Christian, meaning you might as well die a Jew or a Christian. What else makes you Muslim if you're not upholding the pillars? And some say he took that. I'm not talking about whether this is the stronger opinion or not. Don't even put yourself in that conversation. That should not apply to you, this debate. Nobody makes that gamble. They say that he got that from Allah's words, وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حِجُّ الْبَيْتِ مَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا وَمَنْ يَتَوَلَّى فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ وَمَنْ كَفَرَ فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ غَنِيٌّ عَنِ الْعَالَمِينَ. And it is Allah's right on people that they visit His sacred house, whomever is capable, and whomever disbelieves. So it's as if they're on opposite ends. You're capable, you need to go, or else you're someone who disbelieves. And whomever disbelieves, Allah says, then he has no need for anybody in the universe. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's not benefited by your Hajj, nor is he harmed by your absence from Hajj. So that's just something that you should always keep in mind. Hajj is not something for the elderly person after he's gotten his career and bought his house and got his kids married and bought them a building back home and built it for them and they'll never live in. And then he says, might as well, squeeze in a Hajj. That's not cool. It's not right. And so whoever is capable, squeeze it in this year. And if you miss it, you have about 4 or 5 days, by the way, to really get yourself together. Left. And then make a firm determination that Allah, if you let me live until next year, I promise you I'll be there. Now the benefits for the people that will not be at Hajj or at Hajj. This is for both. Allah Azza wa Jal says, لِيَشْهَدُوا مَنَافِعَ لَهُمْ. The verse we heard recited earlier on. The Hajj is so that they may witness, they may observe many benefits for them. Worldly benefits and religious benefits, spiritual benefits of course. I'm obviously going to focus on the spiritual benefits. The first thing you'll witness, or you should witness, when you see the Hajj in person or on TV, or think about it, is that Hajj reminds us of the reality of all the hearts being in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You look at people at Hajj, they come from these far away lands. To what? To the heat, the stones, the rocks, the deserts, sweat, fatigue, just flocking in this direction. Why? Allah Azza wa Jalla is the one that brought them there. Because Ibrahim alayhi salam said, when he put his wife and Ismail there, فَاجْعَلْ أَفْئِدَةً مِّنَ النَّاسِ تَهْوِي إِلَيْهِمْ. Cause the hearts of the people to sway, to flock towards them, towards that place in Mecca. That dua is ongoing until today. Like if you really want to think about it from a completely secular perspective, why? Why $10,000 to go to a barren desert, exhaust yourself, every once in a while you hear about a freak accident, right? Or someone scares you about the Iranians, or that the Saudi government is going to pull off a conspiracy this year so that they can pull off another war on someone there. One of these things. And the people just, they don't care. I don't care about the price, I don't care about the dangers, the people stirring up, the rumors. I'm going to Hajj. In the millions. Like the Vatican, people make pilgrimage to the Vatican in Rome, right? Catholics make pilgrimage there. It's a very pretty place. I've never been there. I've never made Hajj there. But it's just, architecturally, it's very pretty. And it's like, it could be somewhat of a luxurious visit. You know when people go to the Vatican? 10,000 people, 12,000 people, if my numbers are correct. What brings? Allah brought these hearts, these pilgrims to His sacred house. And Allah turned others away, turned other hearts towards these empty desires of theirs, away from that house, these disappointing desires. It was Allah alone who elevated these people by bringing them into Hajj with His servitude, and it was Allah alone who dragged others down in perfect justice, right? Remember that in Hajj, that the hearts are with Allah. He makes that possible. There's no rationale really behind it. If you think about it in completely material terms, it doesn't make sense. But what the Prophet ﷺ said makes sense. When he told us, إِنَّ الْقُلُوبَ بَيْنَ أُصْبَعَيْنِ مِنْ أَصَابِعِ الرَّحْمَنِ, يقلبها كيف يشاء. وفي رواية فأيما قلب أراد أن يقيمه أقامه وأيما قلب أراد أن يزيغه أزاغه. The hearts are between two fingers of the Most Merciful. He turns them however He wishes. Whomever's heart He wants to erect in a certain place, dedicated to a certain direction, He erects it there, and whomever heart He wishes to divert, to turn away, He turns them away. He disinterests them in coming close to Him. And so when you see that, whether you're at Hajj or not, and you remember that the hearts are in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's hands, what do? You ask the one who owns your heart, you don't own it, to allow you to meet Him upon that guidance that He guided you to. That's why Allah Azza wa Jal said to us, taught us to say, رَبَّنَا لَا تُزِغْ قُلُوبَنَا بَعْدَ إِذْ هَدَيْتَنَا. Don't turn our hearts away after you have guided us. You know, a few days ago, I'm going to put him on the spot. Sheikh Badawi sent me a very nice quote. He translated it and I threw it on my Facebook page. Essentially, it said, when you voluntarily choose not to come to pray in the masjid, like you think, I'm not going to do that Jumu'ah thing today, I'm not going to pray Isha, I'm not going to pray Fajr, something along those lines. You think you're voluntarily choosing this, whereas in reality it was Allah who deprived you of the tranquility, the inner peace of His house. Had He wanted you there, He would have interested you in it, right? He would have increased your appetite for it. When I posted this, two brothers sent me messages. I think it was private or not private at the point. They sent me messages and they said, how can you say that? How can you say that Allah turned some people away from His house? How is that even fair? And the other brother told me, when you say stuff like this, you're making people feel like there's no accountability. Allah is the one that does it all, so what's the point of even trying? And so, let me address that very fast, now that I revisited this point. I have to say that, because Allah Azza wa Jal told us that. When He said, فَلَمَّا زَاغُوا أَزَاغَ اللَّهُ قُلُوبَهُم. When they turned away, Allah turned their hearts away. And that's why He told us to say the dua I just mentioned. رَبَّنَا لَا تُزِغْ قُلُوبَنَا. Oh Allah, don't turn our hearts away, like You've done with other people, after You have guided us. We believe that. So we know that Allah does this, for sure. And so we believe, as Al-Hasan al-Basri rahimahullah said, that one of the signs that Allah has turned away from you, it doesn't mean indefinitely, by the way, but that He has turned away from you, is that you have turned away from Him. Right? It's a very scary thought if you think about it. But this does not acquit you of liability, because Allah said He did it in perfect justice. So like when He gave you years of chances and you keep ignoring the chances, and so He stops inspiring you, He closes that window. He didn't do it except as a punishment, because you said, I don't want these chances. So what's the difference between Allah giving a person 60 years of chances and then ending his life? That's no more chances, right? Or Allah giving someone 60 years of chances and then sealing his heart and letting him live 10 more years. It's still no more chances, isn't it? Right? And so you have enough free will to be accountable before Allah. And if Allah intervenes, He interrupts, He will not do that in a way that would be unfair to you, in a way that would make your wrong His fault. No, it would be a consequence for your wrong. Is that clear, everybody? And so that should actually reassert in us, or further strengthen the notion that, oh man, my heart is not mine. I gotta take care of this thing, or else my opportunities can expire. When you remember that the hearts are all in Allah Azza wa Jal's hands, when you see the Hajj scenes, remind yourself of that. Oh Allah, please don't turn my heart away, let me die Muslim. You know, Ibrahim alayhi salam, like to say, Rabbana waj'alna muslimain, allow us to be Muslim to you. You just heard this in Salah. You're not going to be Muslim if Allah doesn't want you to be Muslim. There are people far more intelligent than you, far more religious than you, that fall out of Islam, right? And so there is no guarantee that you will keep this. If you think it's yours, then okay, hold on to it for yourself, tough guy. That's the way it works. So humble yourself in that. You know, Ibrahim alayhi salam in the Quran, Allah Azza wa Jalla tells us that he used to say, وَجْنُبْنِي وَبَنِيَّ أَن نَعْبُدَ الْأَصْنَامِ Surah Ibrahim. And curb me, keep me away, me and my children, from worshipping the false gods, the idols. Ibrahim at-Taymi rahimahullah, when he would hear this ayah, he would break down in tears about this. Rahimahullah ta'ala. Do you know why? He would say, وَمَنْ يَأْمَنُ الْبَلَاءَ بَعْدَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ أو قال بعد الخليل. Who can ever feel secure after Ibrahim alayhi salam is worried? So you need to worry about this. That Ibrahim alayhi salam is afraid to succumb to societal pressure. He's afraid that just the drilling of what he hears over and over and over again, so I can't do it anymore. I can't, it's too much. He's afraid of that. The people that arrive in Jannah are the people that are afraid of that here, by the way. There's proof in the Quran. Ibrahim at-Taymi himself also is the one that used to say, whomever is not worried here should be afraid that he is not of the people of Jannah. Because Allah Azza wa Jal said to us, وَأَقْبَلَ بَعْضُهُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ يَتَسَاءَلُونَ قالوا إنا كنا قبل في أهلنا مشفقين فمن الله علينا ووقانا عذاب السموم إنا كنا من قبل ندعوه إنه هو البر الرحيم. That people, Allah's drawing the scene in Jannah. They woke up to each other asking a question. They say, weren't we those that used to be so anxious back there, back in dunya? But Allah was so good to us when He spared us the blistering winds of the fire. We used to beg Him previously. Indeed, He is the most kind, the most merciful. And so the people that are in Jannah, they're going to reminisce over how they got to Jannah and say, we used to be so scared that we weren't going to get here. And so if you're not scared here about getting there, then that story is not about you. Does that make sense? This is what Ibrahim at-Taymi meant, rahimahullah. If you're not worried, then you should be afraid. That the description of the people of Jannah and their conversation does not apply to you. And also, when you remember that Allah owns the hearts, whoever's heart you want to turn towards Allah, ask the owner of their heart to turn them. We struggle so much to change our kids, to change our parents, to change our relatives, to change whoever, our neighbors. And by and large, we consider ourselves failures at this. And it frustrates us so much. The Prophet ﷺ did not just convince the board of his masjid to agree with him on something. He didn't convince his whole masjid to do the same thing and follow the same lifestyle. He changed the entire world because he knew the keys to this world, the keys to the hearts of humanity was with who? Was with Allah Azza wa Jal. And so he would speak to Him before he spoke to people, because he knows that He's the owner of the hearts. That's the first benefit you should secure when you look at that Hajj scene. That Allah Azza wa Jal, all the hearts are in His hands. The second benefit, I need to stop what time?
Someone throw something.
Tell somebody throw something.
9:40.
No, food. The second benefit for everybody, whether you're at Hajj or not, is that Hajj reminds us, as you all know, that the Muslims are a single body. Right? Our Prophet ﷺ at his farewell Hajj emphasized that all of humanity were relatives, didn't he? When he said, أَيُّهَا النَّاسِ, O people, إِنَّ اللَّهَ قَدْ أَذْهَبَ عَنْكُمْ عُبِّيَّةَ الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ وتفاخرها بالآباء والأسلاف كلكم لآدم وآدم من تراب لا فضل لعربي على عجمي ولا أعجمي على عربي ولا لأحمر على أسود ولا لأسود على أحمر إلا بالتقوى الناس رجلان مؤمن تقي وفاجر شقي. He said, O humanity, Allah has done you a great favor by removing from you the arrogance of the pre-Islamic culture and its boasting of its forefathers and its ancestries. You all go back to Adam. You all trace back to Adam, and Adam traces to dust, and Adam is from dust. There is no virtue for an Arab over a non-Arab, nor for a non-Arab over an Arab, nor for a red man over a black man, nor a black man over a red man, except by righteousness. He said humanity, meaning everybody in humanity, is one of two people. Mu'minun taqi, a pious believer. قال أو فاجر شقي أو قال فاجر لئيم, and a miserable wicked person. Those are the two people. That's it. That's the only grading system in Allah's eyes. And he was speaking to Muslims, so he made particular emphasis on the Muslims. And he said to them, alayhi salatu wasalam, in many ahadith, he said the example of the believers like the example of one body, right? When a part of it hurts, the whole body loses sleep, gets insomnia. That's extremely important to remember in the Hajj season, for a whole bunch of reasons. Number one, internally as an ummah. If we actually feel like we're one body, that would be the end of the conversation. That would be the end of the problems, right? Like if you really felt like that person being pummeled across the ocean is your brother, you would not wait for the cops, you would not wait for the ambulance. No one is saying do anything rash here, but I'm saying we would have enough incentive to do what's within our abilities, right? We would have a collective potential that's way different than what we have right now. The scales would be different. But so long as we don't feel like we're one body, we're going to have to keep giving lectures and talks and then wake people up and then put them back to sleep. Right? So Allah Azza wa Jal is causing all of this. Look, the problems, Islamophobia has always existed, you know this. The problems externally have always existed. Our fear should never be that. Our fear is becoming so weak internally that we can be crushed by those outside pressures. It will always be there, no doubt. And so when you see the Hajj and you remember that every single one of us has no virtue over the other. We are just as brothers as those that are born of the same direct mom, right? That doesn't really exist, because if it existed, it would be enough. And that's why he sallallahu alayhi wasallam told us to check for the symptoms. Like, we need to transition. He's trying to get us, alayhi salatu wasalam, to move from having facts about the unity of this ummah, one God, one religion, one prophet, and actually feeling this. And that's why he said, when a part of the body hurts, the whole body feels it. He wants you to move to that emotion that can be a fuel, because facts and data and knowledge never helped anybody, right? Unless it shifts over to like actually transforming you. You need to remember that in this Hajj season, when you see these, for our internal problems, the Arabs uniting is not enough. And I say that just because I'm from Arabic descent. So long as an Arab-Israeli conflict, it will never be promising. Even if all the Arabs were on one page. Because the Arabs existed for 2,000 years in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Before him. They didn't go anywhere. They were at each other's throats. Only through Islam, overnight, the world transformed. Right? It's not like, what did he bring? He brought Islam. That is what made things, that is what made everything else of value, everything else consequential. When the ethnic lines, the social class, all of that was blurred, reason for you to see someone as beneath you or above you, just because of these things, that prejudice, when it's gone, things will get better for this ummah. Because you cannot possibly blame someone, the victimizer, for making you his victim. when we victimize each other internally. It's just, so we need to reset our focus on this issue. And here's another reason why we need to remember that Islam told us that humanity, and particularly the believers, we're all a single body. Because the world is hurting. Like you all heard about the protests yesterday. Racism is alive and well, right? And it's not just in America. It's ugly and it's rampant and it's everywhere. You know, Malcolm X, when he went to his famous trip in Hajj and he came back and said, you know, America needs Islam because it's the only system that has ever solved the race problem. And it's true. 1400 years later, it's still here. Whenever Islam is absent, it's here. That race problem. You know, Arnold Toynbee has a beautiful quote in his book, Civilization on Trial. And he says, one of the most fascinating accomplishments of the Islamic religion is its ability to successfully eliminate race consciousness, like make people colorblind. He says, and this is something that the Western world, these are his words, is in a dire need for, this Islamic value. Interestingly, Islam actually did more than that. Islam did not just make you colorblind. It said, see the colors, embrace diversity. There is a difference between me and you, the black and the white, and there's nothing wrong with that. You understand? Appreciate the differences, not ignore them. It did even more. Because it's one thing to say, okay, I don't see anything. I love you all the same. And between me seeing you as different and not loving you any less. If we can get to that point, not just race, if your brother disagrees with you on issues, you still love him just the same. Wouldn't that be nice? Like, don't we have this huge problem that your brother comes close to you? And then the moment you find out that he disagrees with you on something worthless, like politics or something, right? He doesn't move back to where he was before he knew you. It gets like double. He becomes your sworn enemy. Why can't he just becomes the guy that you didn't know his name yet? Why did he have to become like your arch enemy? Why? That is a struggle for our ummah historically. And Hajj is going to help us get past it one more time. The last one I'll mention, because time is running out. Hajj reminds us, when you see the Hajj scene, Hajj reminds us that security only comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In this dunya and in the akhirah. Without Allah, the most accomplished, the most resourceful civilizations on earth, or human beings, individuals on the planet, will live in anxieties and in fears, will live in insecurities. And with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you can be sleeping and your blanket is the sky and your mattress is the pebbles and you're totally fine. Right? Ibrahim alayhi salam comes to this land and he says, رَبِّ إِنِّي أَسْكَنْتُ مِنْ ذُرِّيَّتِي بِوَادٍ غَيْرِ ذِي زَرْعٍ عِنْدَ بَيْتِكَ الْمُحَرَّمِ. Oh my Lord, I have placed some of my family, some members of my family, in this barren land that has no vegetation, no green, no signs of life whatsoever. And so Allah Azza wa Jal took that land, like it wasn't even scary because there was enemies. It was scary just because of the silence there. It's horrifying. Just how quiet it is, it will make you lose your lid. Nothing there, no signs of life. And so he says in the other ayah, رَبِّ اجْعَلْ هَذَا بَلَدًا آمِنًا. Oh Allah, make this a secure land. وَارْزُقْ أَهْلَهُ مِنَ الثَّمَرَاتِ. And provide its offspring, or its people, from produce. Safest place on earth. Right? And produce gets imported there from every place in the world. It's there though. Everything is there. Because of the dua of Ibrahim alayhi salam. And it becomes this blessed land that's buzzing 24/7, year-round. You know Allah Azza wa Jalla when He said, إِنَّ أَوَّلَ بَيْتٍ وُضِعَ لِلنَّاسِ لَلَّذِي بِبَكَّةَ مُبَارَكًا. The very first house placed for God's worship was the one in Mecca. Mecca, some say is another word for Mecca, and some say it's a description of Mecca. It was known as Mecca, قالوا البكة التي تبك بالناس. فِيهَا ضَجِيجُ النَّاسِ. The word Mecca means that place that's buzzing, hoarding with people. That's what it is, isn't it? If there's a city that never sleeps, it's Mecca. I don't care if you're from New York City. Have you guys ever been to New York City? Okay. New York City quiets down sometimes, and only the janitors are out, and maybe one coffee guy here, and like a thief there, and Muslims giving back is out there, of course, feeding people, mashallah. But Allah granted the most unexpected places security. And so the journey of Hajj should remind you about the journey to security, where you get your security from. Because you have a bigger trip, that Hajj is almost like a microcosm of. A trip where also you have to take off your clothes. And a trip where you will walk into the unknown. And a trip where you don't know if you're going to be reunited with your family. And that's the journey after death, isn't it? You know, it was reported that Al-Hasan al-Basri, rahimahullah, heard about one of the great abidat, one of the great female worshippers of his town, of Basra, that she was on her deathbed. And so he went to reassure her and remind her never to die without assuming the best of Allah. And so when he entered her house, and he sat with her, and he said these comforting words to her, and remind her of the glad tidings that Prophet ﷺ left with us from Allah's words and from his own words, she wouldn't stop crying. And so he asked her, why are you still crying? Like, rejoice. You're approaching the God you've been worshipping all these years. Fasting every day, and praying every night, and your sadaqat, and dhikr. She says to him, I heard my parents say, prepare her kafan. Prepare her shrouds. She says, I swear to God, if I was traveling to Mecca or Medina alone, I'd be scared. So how about now when I'm traveling to the Day of Judgment, alone? You know, there comes a moment where everything just disappears. Like your friends, your social circle, the money in your pocket, it becomes meaningless. The currency expires in an instant, right? Even your Islamic knowledge that you don't use, may Allah forgive us. All of that just vanishes, and you become all alone on this journey. You can't have your parents, you can't have your best friend, you can't have your comfortable jacket, you can't have anything with you. And you're carried through this journey that could take as long as thousands of lifetimes that you've lived on this earth. And then you arrive at the Day of Judgment. The only person, only Allah can provide you with security for that journey, okay? The only person that has security for that trip is the one that is certain before that trip that security only comes from Allah. And when you see the amazing, incredible security that radiates from Mecca, from the Hajj season, remember how Allah pulled that out of seemingly nowhere. And likewise for this ummah. There is no security for this ummah except with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, we should mobilize and strengthen ourselves and develop expertise and unite and have PR campaigns and step up our media game and all of that. But we should always be certain that's just like 1% of the job. The 99% is for you to ask Allah for security, for yourself and your community and the ummah. You may not think so, but this ummah not drowning, and it will never drown. This ummah retaining a degree of survival, security, could be 99%. Those sincere men and women that mix words with tears in their sujood for Allah to grant us security. And the khatibs on the minbar that solicit sincere ameens at every Jumu'ah all over the world. And 1% all that other stuff, the details. It all only comes from Allah, tabaraka wa ta'ala. There are a few more reflections that I thought to share with you, but I'd rather just keep it here. Sometimes when you lengthen the talks, parts of it cause you to forget other parts, and it becomes pointless anyway. So in hopes that less is more, try to remember these things. The Hajj is one of the most obvious, evident displays of Allah's mercy, because it's the pillar of Islam, and Islam is His greatest mercy. And then reflect in this Hajj season, whether you're going or not, on number one, the fact that the hearts are between the fingers of Allah, and the fact that this ummah is a single body, and the fact that security only comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala jalla jalla. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. صلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. جزاك الله خيرا.